Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Pathways to Excellence, and we have here with us right here two incredible scholars. They're, I swear, not conjoined twins. We actually have like two people sitting in one room right here. We have Wei Hern and Hui Yi, and yes, congratulations on your incredible university admissions. Wei Hern right here is going to either Columbia or to the LSE, who knows? I'm not entirely sure, but as far as I know, like that's the kind of status quo. And Angel right here is headed off to Stanford University. Congratulations on your achievements.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Did I get it right by the way? So like you guys are headed to Columbia or LSE, and you're headed to Stanford, right? If I'm not wrong, Angel.
Yeah, I think most probably that would be the case.
Most probably that'll be the case. Okay, that's truly amazing. We have a lot to dive into right here, but then a bit of a context right here for why we have essentially a two people on one side of the screen right here. It's a story really of inspiration of essentially different perspectives and sort of like mutual support right here. But of course, like we have really a situation where there are two people but three universities. Wei Hern, will you choose LSE or Columbia? You know?
I think at this point, like I guess 2 weeks ago, I was still contemplating and like thinking back and forth. But at this point, I think I'm pretty firm on going to Columbia at this point. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Congratulations. Oh, like I literally just interviewed somebody like about 20 minutes ago who was saying, "Oh, I hope that he goes to LSE." But alas, that's not the case. Well, all right. Okay,
You mean
so
you were hoping for
sorry.
LSE? You mean you were hoping I go to LSE?
He was hoping that you were going to go to LSE, but it's not the
Oh
case.
no.
Oh
I see.
no. But
That's
yeah,
that.
all right. Well, nonetheless, congratulations on your achievements and also to your future life in the US right there. How do you guys feel?
Initially, I think for me, comparing US and UK, right? I think US is a little more foreign to me, both the distance and also I've never been to US, so quite a new place. Like you can hear like many good things about US, bad things about US, but I think there are many things that I can look forward to, like like how's life over there, like the difference, the cultural difference. I think there's a lot to explore and a lot US has to offer for
Mm.
any of us heading to US.
I see, I see. Interesting. Mm.
Although we are both going to US, but it's quite a different places because like one is like at East Coast
Yeah.
and the other is West Coast.
I can
So
imagine, yeah.
definitely there will be like maybe difference in or like time differences and stuff.
Yeah, because like I think there's like a difference between like your Eastern time and then also your Pacific time, right? If I'm not wrong. Cool.
Yeah, they are like, yeah.
Okay, cool. Would you share with us like how you guys like know each other in the first place?
I guess we knew each other during the scholarship interview. During
Ah,
Kazana scholarship interview.
okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting because like before all of this A levels, uni application things, right? Things go way back to like post SPM, and then we were applying for like different scholarships and stuff like that. And
Mm.
um, it was during the third stage of the Kazana interview where I was there and she was there at the same time as well. Of course, I didn't get it eventually, but yeah, I'm a bank scholar now. So
I see. Mm.
yeah, that's where we first met, and then we went to the same school at KY now. Yeah.
Okay. So you're both currently at College ISN UEM, right? I'm guessing. Wow. Okay. Okay. That's incredible. It must be interesting to be immersed kind of like in an environment where like almost I think like half of your school population is scholars, right? So then technically like like your whole situation with like the third stage Kazana interview right there would be kind of like replicating itself like every single day like in school. I guess it's a very interesting environment to be in, for sure. I'm sure that like many of your classmates are tremendously talented, as well.
I guess that's true, but I believe it's not only something specific to KY where because scholars are here, so like yeah, people will think like they are really talented and stuff, but I think it goes beyond KYUEM itself lah. I think like even other colleges, like I don't know, maybe KDJ, Sunway, like they all have like very bright people. So I feel like we are not that different, and we are not different than the others as well.
Well, having said that, so I do know, of course, that you guys are, I guess, scholars under different scholarship bodies. But I guess, like, at the end of the day, right? So you guys both decided to go on to the US. I'm going to read a message from you, Angel, and it goes like, in reference to Wei Hern, he is the one who supported me throughout the application process. He was such an inspiration for me. And just wondering if it is possible to feature him as well. Monkey emoji. Monkey emoji. How did, I guess, like that process really of like deciding to apply to the US come about, or like targeting it as your like number one destination?
Like in reply to that message, actually, because although we knew each other, but we are not so close enough. I mean, like we are not close to each other at school until the period where we started applying to university. And then I think reading each other common app essay is the point where we knew like who is this person, and then what is his passion, or how like what is something that is important to like each of us. So and then since then, that's why I said like we supported each other like in terms of helping to navigate the process, because flying to US is not just like writing essays and doing all of the documentation. It's more like a journey of discovering yourself, like finding what's your passion, and then what are the challenges that you are facing right now. So I guess it's not a process where you experience it alone, because you need to have someone like close friend around you that like emotionally support you like sometimes.
I see. Okay, cool. Maybe can you guys both sort of like individually kind of like tell me a little bit about what the first drafts, right, of your Common App essays were like?
I think for me, looking back, like the first draft to my final draft, I think it's more or less still the same thing. Like basically what my story in Common App was like, how I like to I like go out to walk at night in college where it's like really quiet, and then just lie down in the tennis court and do like stargazing, and then that's where I had like a lot of realizations, and then like like kind of like finding yourself, and then your passions and stuff like that you want to do. So like that was essentially the main theme of my essay, which I kind of already have since the first draft. But then like after like viewing and like like sometimes you can let your friends read or let other tutors help you read and provide you input. So it kind of helps me in the sense that it helps me to one is to write a better story, like how to deliver my story better. And second is also like to further like deeper down into myself, like what do I actually want to convey in this essay? Like what is the main theme that I want to show the admissions tutor and stuff like that. So like it kind of paints a good picture of you. And also it's kind of something like you have to think you can write something out of a very common topic, but it's about the way you deliver your story. Like that's the way of the delivery is what makes you stand out, in my opinion, I believe.
For me, my first draft is something totally different, because at that point of time, I couldn't really think of like any challenges or something that I really valued for in my life. The first draft is about my family, and like the theme is about love. Like I wrote about how I felt not appreciating the love from my family, and then like everyone around me. The last draft is about myself, who don't usually speak up my mind, and then it creates a lot of trouble in my relationship. So it's a totally different stories, but then I feel like this last draft is more personal, because it's something that I have been like struggling for a very long time, instead of like what the external factors that have influenced me.
I see. Okay. So clearly there must have been like a lot of, and thank you for sharing that by the way. So lots of like different things, I guess, that were kind of like changing along the way. But I guess maybe more so for Angel as compared to I guess like you, Wei Hern. But I guess like you guys mentioned really that like there was this kind of like mutualistic kind of like relationship as you were kind of like going through this whole shared process together and reading common app essays and stuff of that nature. But I guess if you were to kind of identify, right, the part maybe of your application that changed as a result of your partner, um, what would you say that it was right there?
Um, for me, I think the um, common app essay, it still remain um my main theme and the thing that I want to deliver myself. Um, I guess what Angel helped me do in this application process. Um, for this common app essay alone, I think it's just helping me review and ask myself more questions like what do I actually want to say, like how do I deliver myself better, things like that. So like I can eventually improve my drafts and maybe like, oh, I actually like how I deliver this better. So like that would be my new draft. But I feel like um more so ever like where Angel helped me is not only from the common app essay. I think she helped me the most during the supplemental essay seasons, like
Mm,
supplemental, right? Yeah, supplemental essay season, where like you write the essay specific to each university, right? Like they ask different questions, and then like why this university, and then like what are your interests, your passions, stuff like that. Not just a common app essay. I think this is the part where we we do research on universities, and then anything that's special about university, we kind of throw ideas at each other, like how we can write these things, and like we just kind of do a lot of sharings in terms of what we learn and what we know about each of the universities, so
I
we can
see.
write better essays for all the universities, basically.
I see, I see. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Mm,
There's a time like one of the supplement, for instance, and then like Wei Hern is thinking about writing two different stories, and then so he wrote two essays for
Oh
like
yeah.
I see.
exactly two different, and
Okay.
then we just like go through each of them and just
Mm,
which is better for you, like
Yeah. Basically, it was like two totally different drafts. I think one was me talking about badminton, and another one was me talking about like my passion like academically in like mathematics and stuff like
I
that.
see. Okay.
So like I guess like I asked for Inju's opinion to help me like review like what the strength and the weaknesses of each essay,
Mm,
and we eventually he I mean she eventually helped me to
I see.
uh,
Mm.
gave her views, and we actually decided on like which one might be better to go. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, okay. So yeah, like I'm guessing that the whole process really of well, writing, rewriting, looking at one another's essays and stuff of that nature, right? Like it creates almost like a whole series of like possible ways in which you might kind of like grow, like in response to one another's thinking right there. And it's a very natural thing, right there. But at the same time, I feel like you guys have some very, shall we say, distinct academic interests. As far as I know, Wei Hern, you're going to be studying, well, if I'm not wrong, to be an actuary, alongside, well, your interests essentially, well, complementing really, like your interest in like mathematics and a whole bunch of different things right there. Um, and I think that, well, Angel, you're going to be studying essentially environmental science, right? And various other things of that nature at Stanford. Um, but yeah, so like, do you guys feel that, well, your academic interests like ever influence one another at some point as well, like throughout this process of, shall we say, applying to university?
I think definitely because before that I am not that interested in anything about math, stats, and statistics.
I
But
see. Mm.
then like after reading so many essays and like explaining all of the complex concept of statistics and astronomy. Then I found myself like asking like asking some question, like for example, what is time? And then like what is the Raymond surface? Like a lot of questions start to pop up, and then it also influenced like how when I go out, like when I flip through some books, and then if I found like some related topics about astronomy and also statistics, so kind of piqued my interest.
I see. Cool.
Well, if you're talking about nature, I feel like I've been quite a nature person myself initially. I mean, not in the way that Angel loves nature, perhaps like how she does like a lot of projects, right? Like in all those mm, environment things, yeah, things like that. But nature is always something that kind of interests me. And in terms of um, like electrical engineering and stuff like that, um, I feel like I learned a lot. Like even when trying to like read her essays and stuff like that, like some like I can see like I think yeah, she mentioned some things about nanochips and stuff like that, and conservation of these kind of production of these microchips or whatsoever. So whenever I read it, and if I really want to give a good comment or a good advice uh, for these essays and stuff, right? I have to do like my own research as well in this kind of thing. So I think in a way that's really helpful, and it's also like kind of interests me more on like what is this like nanochip thing? Like, is it getting into like the realm of quantum physics and stuff? And then there are so many like this quantum physics phenomena which also interest me as well because I'm also like physics person. I like quantum physics, astrophysics, stuff like that. So like there are a lot of things that intersect together. Like the more you research about it, the more it actually comes like a full circle.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. Mm, and now I guess, well, when we think about the environments that you're going to be in, both relatively different. I guess like Stanford is kind of, well, West Coasty, whereas like Columbia is basically by the hustle, the bustle, the chaos, wonder of New York right there. I guess when you think really about like all of the different places that you could be, and here I would actually share um, about something that I encountered really at my own alma mater, which is the University of Chicago. There is a gigantic, well, emblazoned, shall we say, slogan, right? Near the Booth School Library that basically asks people, why are you here and not somewhere else? Perhaps there is a sort of fate that basically like underpins every single decision that we make. Maybe it's the result of like chaos, some accident. Perhaps there's a guiding hand of destiny that places us into, I guess, like where it is that we're going to be going right here. But I guess what led you guys eventually to, shall we say, Columbia and to Stanford?
For me, I think that um one thing that I've been like believe in myself throughout the whole process is just to be myself, and then like never let your passion down. So that's one thing that I've been holding like very near to me because everything about environment as well as music and sciences as well. So it influenced every single project or uh, the academic interest, the things that I do. And then it's also one of the main reasons why I chose to apply to Stanford because it's like well known for its engineering course. So and then um the process of like applying to Stanford is also um different because I chose environmental major when I was applying. So I feel like um, um like kind of hard hard to say because there might be luck, but in the end it's all like if you are doing the things that you truly love, then it will be something that suits you the most.
Cool. And if you don't mind my asking, what schools were you choosing between when you were, I guess, like contemplating the offer? Although of course, like there's a chance that your sponsor may have like made an executive decision as well, because that does happen. But what schools were you choosing between when you were contemplating the Stanford offer?
I think for US, there's two options. One is UCLA, but it is electrical and electronic engineering. And
Mm,
then Stanford, I think I'm more towards Stanford, of course, because like like
mm,
putting its reputation or anything else aside, I guess I prefer Stanford as because like I can explore more my interests,
mm.
not just electrical and electronic major. But then I
I
chose
see.
energy and environment.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. What about yourself, Wei Hern?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Angel where the part like one of the most important thing is you have to find your like especially during this university application phase or even before that is that you have to start to know or to find what your passion is like what do you see yourself studying in the next 4 or 5 years or so like that. So like you have to find something that you really like and you can't just do it just because someone else asked you to do it and so like and
Mm,
yeah, someone like that. So yeah, passion is one of the most important part. Like even to our juniors or to our peers, anyone else, like um, I will
mm,
always tell the rest like to always think of what you really want to do before you start applying to these kind of
mm,
universities. Yeah, but also one more thing which I find is I guess you can see this is like a secondary thing to consider after passion. It's also more so like your flexibility in a sense that I know like we all have our dream universities, like maybe all of us want to get to like at first maybe Cambridge or Stanford or where anywhere else like the Ivy Leagues and so on. But we have to be realistic as well in some way. Like um, as much as you know how good you are or you how good you think you are, um, at the end of the day, this kind of uni application things is also kind of like a game of luck to a certain extent. So we also have to be realistic with our goals and we have to be okay to settle with things that might not be our dream. So I think that's one of the important part. Like for me personally, I was open between like the UK and US. So maybe in fact I was more towards um, UK at first. So like when I first got an offer from LSE, which was my main target, like I was pretty set on going there. And then like yeah, just during the IB day, and then we're open like letters and stuff. Even though I wasn't expecting much, but then yeah, it came like a miracle or something. Yeah, things like that. So um, there are a lot of things to consider, and um, I have to start imagining like where I like where I like better and where I want to explore more, and
mm,
hence that came to my final decision.
wow. But what led to choosing Columbia in the end? Because like as you were mentioning, you were torn between two worlds, but then eventually then one initial dream, the bird in the hand flew away, and then you departed on a new journey. Like what led to, I guess, like this particular choice in your view?
Well, I think like before that, I've really spoken to like quite a few Malaysian seniors or my seniors who are currently in Columbia or even in Cornell,
Mm,
one of my senior. So I spoke to him because like he is doing a similar course which I'm planning to do as well, and he had the same problem as me like last year. So I think he gave me a lot of advice on like um, what do I really want to do? Like if it's LSE itself, right? Because it's actuarial science, so you'll be doing specifically actuarial science. But actually, actuarial science is just like a branch of, not a branch, like a niche from this mathematics or statistics field. So I felt like going to Columbia, it allows me to explore even more, like even broader in terms of statistics
mm,
itself, which I can still eventually specialize in actuarial science.
mm,
And also, whatsoever, like Columbia itself, it's quite known for its like core curriculum, right? Where you explore even broader, like more than just maths. You have the arts, the history. So I think this kind of approach to education, or like I think kind of appeals to me. I can find I can discover, I can explore different things, and sometimes I think of learning music as well, or even my interest in physics. I can pursue my interest of physics there. So I feel like there are a lot of possibilities that I can gain from that as well. But because I'm not just saying on LSE though, LSE is still like a really good place, like especially like for economics and finance and like I guess for social sciences. They're really good universities, but they're just like two really different worlds that you have to pick from. So it really depends on preference. One might pick the other, and one might pick one might pick Columbia, one might pick LSE. So it really depends.
To both of you, what is one random thing that you would want to explore, academic interest, one random academic interest that you want to explore in Columbia, Stanford, that is not related to what you're about to study as your major?
I wouldn't say it's totally not related, but one thing that I've always liked to explore more or to do is literally astronomy. Like in my common essay, I talk about stars, about
Wow.
a lot of space phenomena. That's really one thing that I want to explore, if, other than just like maths and statistics as well, right? Because
Wow.
even though it's also part of like math is really universal, you can use it in finance, you can use it in in space, but then it's a really big field which I just want to explore more in it, like even astrophysics. I think it's great in that sense. It's also one thing that uh put my spot like for me to like Columbia even more, where I can explore rather than just my intended major. So I think this is kind of like a best of both worlds. Like I can just major in statistics, and then I can minor in like astrophysics, things like that, which also eventually can tie it back to the same field, which is
Wow.
mathematics, statistics. So
Wow.
I think this is a pretty great thing for me.
You want to know something, a random piece of trivia about pathways, like this podcast that you're on at the moment? Um,
Yeah.
so okay, actually two pieces of random trivia. Two people, well, okay, two people I'll talk about. One is the person who inspired pathways. We thank, of course, well, not completely inspired pathways, but there was a student at Harvard who gave me a telescope one day right after dinner, right there, with the following cryptic words: "We gotta share the stars, man." That student is Tri Jertin, Harvard 2026. Justin, if you're out there, we are right here sharing the stars. And yeah, so then the next person is Ong Zhizheng, who is going off to MIT this year, right here. Both of these people have gold medals in the IOAA. And yeah, so like please get connected. Like it'll be very interesting for you guys right there. And thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope that you'll get every single part of that interest. Does Columbia have an observatory, by the way?
Yeah, they do have a observatory. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's called Harvard Observatory. And then,
Okay.
yeah, and quite a popular spot for like astronomy students to explore. They have a lot of events and so on.
Oh, okay. Amazing. Wow. Okay, that's great. And then Angel, what about yourself? Apart from, like playing the Steinway and Sons piano, which you spoke about in the now destroyed video, but is now available on the Pathways podcast. But yeah, so like what's one random thing that you like to explore that's unrelated to your major?
I just thought of it a few minutes ago. I would like to learn about anthropology.
Anthropology, like Indiana Jones stuff, like going to the pyramids, like finding mummies and like trying to, like not get turned into turned to a mummy. I'm kidding. But anthropology, you said?
I think I'm quite curious about like human psychology. Psychology is for an individual, but then if we're looking at humans as a whole, like looking at civilization as well as like economic development, which also aligns a bit with my another like interest in sustainable development goal.
Really quickly, what do you want most from this experience? Feel free to answer in like whatever terms it is that you feel are most suitable at this point in time. What do you want most from this whole experience of going off to the US and pursuing educations at some of the world's best institutions of higher education?
Like when I go overseas to study, there's like two aspects of learning. So one is like learning to benefit yourself, and one is like learning to benefit the others, like my own community eventually, or my country, or even the world, I guess. So like in terms of benefiting myself, it's like I get to learn more things like other than my intended major that I want to learn in my university. Like in terms of culture, I can explore so many things over there, meeting more people, building meaningful connections. But also like in giving back to society, I feel like studying overseas, like we can learn whatever like in institutions like I guess because these kind of universities, Ivy Leagues or the private institutions, they have a lot of research opportunities and stuff like that. So like
Mhm.
I think these kind of research opportunities or reaching out to the global leaders can help us to learn a lot. Like even for me, like no matter if it's science or economics, I can learn a lot from them. And eventually, I think this kind of inputs can also help uh, help our country eventually, like when we
Mm.
serve our when we work for our own country in the end. And I think in a way this is what our country needs as well.
Mm.
Instead of very drained, like they need people with new perspective, also good perspective, to eventually contribute and I think make the country better, make the world better and stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Thank you for sharing that. For sure, yeah. Community impact is a huge thing right there, and I hope that you discover, like, whatever it is that the best of all possible worlds leads to, because Malaysia really does need that at this point in time. So yeah, so like all the best on that. How about you, Angel?
One thing I wish I can do is like to discover the limit of my potential. Like, oh, it's very general. But then I feel
Mm,
like going overseas, first of all, it's a very huge breakthrough itself because
mm,
like it's a very new environment. And then the opportunity is not just in terms of learning, but then
mm,
like can explore more, for example, entrepreneurship or like starting up a new business. Just
mm,
like there's no limit to your imagination. You can be anything you want.
mm,
So that's one thing I wish that I can take away from studying abroad.
mm,
Like just go with the flow and like see where will I end up at the end. That
Interesting.
is
So like discovering like your potential. That's great. I mean, it definitely aligns with the whole definition actually of like education. By the way, do you guys know where the word education comes from? Like have you heard of that before? It actually
No
comes from
idea.
like exactly what like Angel just described. It actually comes from like a Latin word. It's like educere, which basically means to like bring out a person's potential, which is cool. I mean, like well, that's what you're gonna be doing right there. So I guess as we come towards the close of this interview, so a question for both of you: what kinds of advice would you give to the next generation of people who are going to be going through this process? Because, as you know, so many people out there who are applying to universities from Malaysia watch this channel, Singapore as well, judging from the statistics. So, yeah, like any thoughts on, how somebody should approach the applications process in such a way that not to say that they would succeed, but that they would be more likely than not to achieve like a good outcome, like according to I guess like their own definition.
I think for like everyone out there and also myself, like take every single opportunity learning as a learning chance because like in the process you will never lose something if you really don't like succeed in the typical stereotype like term, you will still gain a lesson from like what you have learned about yourself, what you have discovered throughout the journey. But it's not about the destination. Yeah, it's more on the process of figuring out what you really like, and then in the end, giving your best in every single opportunity that you have, so that you don't like leave any regret towards the end.
Mm. Okay, wow.
Yeah. I think what Angel said is a really good point. Like uni application, as much as people like yourself or people care about the results, I think it's more of a learning process. And of course, you hope that you can get the best outcome out of it, but we have to also be mentally prepared for whatever outcomes that will happen. Because none of us know what is actually going to happen, like which uni are we going to get accepted or not. And sometimes it also depends a lot on the university's part. Like maybe like if a different admission tutor read it, then you might get a place, you might not get a place. So, but then I think in terms of advice on like how to maximize I don't know, your ideal outcome, it's kind of like yeah, one thing is like back to what we said before, that is like follow your passion, like create your own team of essays that you want to write. Don't be like everywhere. So like the admission tutor know who you really are in one picture, a big picture. And also, I think we can keep asking ourselves as an applicant, like, what is it about me that makes me stand out, or what is it about me that is kind of special that maybe when someone reads it, they'll think like, oh, it's something like fresh, something new, or yeah, that I think um, uniqueness is one thing. Also, like how you show your passion is also another thing. Like you work hard for your passion. Like what have you done for your passion? I think this is also one of the most important part in the admission process.
Okay. I feel like the process is not just writing and expressing yourself, but then one part that most of us overlook is the thinking process. So, like the application is more on you think about it 80% and then you express it. Yeah. So it's more like really reflecting.
Yeah, the fact that you're thinking is worth thinking.
Yeah. A lot of times, like, people think it's like, oh, I have to write and type, but it's not really the physical act of just typing on a keyboard. With that in mind, the penultimate question that I have for you guys is as follows: what is one thing, one truly important or crucial thing that you feel that you learn about or deepen your understanding of about yourself as you went through this process?
I think going through, you mean the process as in the application, the uni application process? I think it really helped me to find like what do I really want to do, and what do I see myself spending the next few years of studying. I think this is like even though maybe before that I thought like I want to do this, I want to do that, but then after researching and asking yourself more, right, you will be really sure like okay, like this is something that you want to do and how you want to work for it. I think it gives a better picture on how you want to achieve your short-term and long-term goal. Long-term goals. Like maybe the short-term goals can be like what you want to do in university, and then the long-term goals is what you want to do in life after university. So I think it really gives you a better sense of picture, and that's why we mentioned that like this university application process, as much as people care about the outcome, is also about discovering, and the process of it is worth going through. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Yeah, definitely. That will lead very nicely into my final question. And Angel, do you have any thoughts on that?
Like I be confident because like throughout the process I have so many doubt on myself. Although I feel like this is my passion. And then after 10 minutes I I doubt that that thought. And then
Oh, I guess I didn't like pianos after all.
I think most of the time, we are like the definition of us on ourselves is too dependent on what others think. So after like researching more on the different essays that people wrote, then I feel like the definition of good essays is like is what like shown on the internet, or like what is talked about like in podcasts or YouTube channel. But then in the end, I found out that it's true that there's no a certain format for every single application. Like you are who you are, so there's no guideline or benchmark of like your your level, something like that. So that's where I found out that it's very important to be confident on yourself.
Yeah, I think yeah, just one thing like I want to add on like what she said is like I think one problem that most applicants face is like they see their own extracurricular activities and their achievements, and then they see like and then those maybe their seniors what they did to get them to get into university. Like they see I don't know, maybe like there are some Olympiad winners, then they work in some big projects or they publish a bestseller book or whatsoever. Like I think that puts a lot of pressure into the applicants when writing things like I don't really have this kind of achievements. So like, is it really going to diminish my chances to get into like my dream university and stuff like that? So I think like even though maybe this kind of things can be a plus point when can be a plus point when you're applying to the biggest universities, but then it doesn't really put you at a disadvantage even if you don't as well. Like it can be true to a certain extent that it helps, but also even if you don't have this kind of achievements, like don't be afraid of still trying to apply to these universities. And I think this is one quite important point to point out. Like yeah, you miss 100% of the chance you take, right? So I think this is quite an important advice to everyone.
Everyone is unique.
Yeah, and that goes to confidence.
All right, okay. Then the last question, as it were. What would you like to do with the education that you are going to receive?
Most importantly, like coming back and like share what I have learned and share the experience, not just the success, I guess. It's more on what are the lessons that I have learned from my failure throughout the whole process, and then letting other people, those who aspire the same, to like find their own journey.
For me, I don't know, just one thing. Like, I guess back when I was a kid, I guess many kids have this kind of dreams to like, I don't know, I dreamt to be like someone who can like, I don't know, save the world, find a cure for something, yeah, be like Albert Einstein, whatsoever. But like, yeah, to give a big impact or positive impact to the world. So like, I guess that's still one thing that I would like to strive for now. But then, like throughout, I don't know, growing up or like through these kind of processes, like I kind of learned that there are so many ways that you can positively impact society or the global community. Like it doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be small. Like just do what you can, and eventually it will somewhat work out. It doesn't have to be. It can be in terms of science, environment, social, yeah, so many things. So I think this is one thing that I strive to do. Start with something small and eventually get bigger and bigger, like contribute to my country, contribute to the community and stuff like that. But also like one thing I want to add is like I guess no matter how far we go, like no matter where we go, like US, like we go to like good universities and stuff like that, right? I guess at the end of the day, we still have to kind of stay true to ourselves. Like, don't forget where we come from, and like always appreciate like what helped us in order to achieve our own goals and dreams. So like, we always have to come back to who we are initially. I think this is also one important part. Like, not forget our own roots and always appreciate the people around us.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, do you guys have any other things, random thoughts, ideas, projects that you want to share with the audience, potentially at this point in time as well? Join KYUEM Summit! No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
That has been going around for quite some time, even now.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so things that you want to share, final thoughts, ideas, projects, anything that you.
Subscribe.
Oh, thank you. Hashtag bless. Does that apply for
I
both of you?
One message I think I want to deliver is that don't put too much emphasis on like which uni is the best to go or which is not good, because after all, yeah, a uni is still a uni, and maybe it might not have a really good ranking, or in other people's eyes it might not be as good as
Mhm.
the best, I guess. But then at the end of the day, it's still about like wherever you go, if you're good and you can strive yourself, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter where you go, like, because as long as you stay who you are and you know what you want to do and you stay true to your own uh, positive goals and stuff like that.
Mm.
So like yeah, reputation and rankings of universities, um, I guess it's one rubric, but it's not the whole picture. It's not everything. So don't put too much pressure on like having this dream uni because it has the best ranking in the world and stuff like that.
It brings us back to the theme, like the title of the whole channel, Pathway to Excellence. There's so many pathway and there's so many definition of excellence.
Mm.
Define your own pathway to excellence.
Subscribe to Pathways to Excellence. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that was as we can see on the screen right here, Wei Hern and Lim Hui Yi. Thank you guys so much for being on the channel. You guys were wonderful, and thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your perspectives.
Right. Thanks a lot. Thanks
Yes.
for having us. Yeah, thanks for having us here as well.
Thank you so much.